Good evening. I spent more than 30 years in business, long enough to see success, failure, and everything in between. Long enough to know that spreadsheets don't tell the whole story, and long enough to admit that sometimes the interns were right. I led teams, built companies, made tough calls, and yes, made mistakes. But the biggest lesson I learned wasn't about profit or strategy or market share. It was this: a business is only as strong as the trust it earns. Not the trust it demands, not the trust it assumes, the trust it earns. For decades, American businesses and consumers walked the same road. We understood each other. We needed each other. We trusted each other. But somewhere along the way, around the time my hair started turning gray, the road split. Businesses went one direction: efficiency, scale, speed. Consumers went another: protection, clarity, fairness. And the distance between us grew. Now, I'm not here to blame anyone. I've been on both sides of the table. I've been the CEO defending a decision, and the customer wondering why my cable bill looked like a ransom note. But here's what I know. We cannot build a sustainable future if we're walking in opposite directions. Today's world is too complex, too fast, too interconnected, too transparent. A misunderstanding that once affected 10 people now affects 10 million. A mistake that once stayed in a boardroom now trends on TikTok before lunch. So what do? We realign, we rebuild, we return to the same road together. And that starts with responsibility. Responsibility number 1. Businesses must educate before they deliver, not just the product, not just the price, but the relationship. Explain the why, not just the what. Explain the conditions, not just the contract. Explain the limitations, not just the features. If the customer doesn't understand, that's not their failure. That's our responsibility. Responsibility number 2. Consumers must understand before they choose. Not blindly, not fearfully, but with awareness of the complexity behind every service they use. You can't demand cheap, fast, perfect, and then be shocked when something breaks. Trust me, I tried. It doesn't work. Responsibility number 3. Consumers must see competitors as friends. Yes, friends. Because trust is not built between two parties. It's built across an ecosystem. When the ecosystem is healthy, everyone wins. When it's toxic, everyone loses, including the businesses. Responsibility number 4. Businesses must compete with integrity, not by hiding fine print, not by confusing customers, not by racing to the bottom, but by racing to the top in clarity, fairness, and human understanding. Because here's the truth. A non-collapsible economy is one where both sides carry the weight of trust. Not equally, but responsibly. Businesses must lead with clarity. Consumers must engage with awareness, and both must walk in the same direction. I've seen what happens when we don't. I've lived the consequences. I've felt the limitations. But I've also seen what happens when we do. When trust is rebuilt, when alignment returns, when responsibility is shared, the road becomes smoother, the journey becomes easier, and the future becomes brighter. The fine line between trust and collapse is still there, but now we can see it. And when we see the line, we can choose which side to stand on. Let's choose the side of trust. Let's choose the side of alignment. Let's choose the side of a future we build together. Thank you.